First thing that comes to my mind is self-love. If you don't love yourself, it's very difficult, I would say, to become really successful because you're gonna auto-sabotage yourself, falling back into unhealthy habits, not dedicating enough time or becoming a complete workaholic, and then you have health issues. So I would really say the recipe for business success is something that I quote on top of my bed. It says, success won't bring you happiness. Happiness will bring you success. So do what you love and you're going to be successful in return. You cannot be successful or very unlikely with something that you completely hate and that you do not feel with self-love while doing it.
Hello and welcome to the Ronny Leber Show, where every week we bring you fascinating guests with inspiring stories of success and overcoming obstacles from the world of sports, business and entertainment. To support this channel, please subscribe, turn on the notification bell and hit the like button so that we can deliver you the best content possible.
He's an online marketing rock star and a proud member of the Forbes 30 Under 30. Having grown up close to Vienna, he moved his business and himself to Barcelona. After having failed with his 3 e-commerce shops, he knew, I gotta figure that out. He invested more than 3 million euros in 120 different brands and generated an impressive 10.4 million euros in sales. Now he is the founder and CEO of Europe's #1 marketing mastermind, where he supports business owners with high-level marketing, one-to-one mentoring to take their brand to the next level with more than 115,000 students worldwide. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us live from Barcelona, España. I'm happy to have him on the show. Please welcome, here's Patrick Wind.
Ronny, thank you so much for the amazing introduction. Really appreciate it. I feel like a soccer star or even like a box champion right now with this amazing introduction, man. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Happy to have you here. And today we'll learn about becoming an entrepreneur, building a brand, and also how to get the right people in your proximity, talking about masterminds. But before we get into all of that, when you look at your life today, and you're still quite young actually, and you think back on your journey, was that what you had in mind when you were a kid?
Actually, no. I always wanted to become a football player, a professional one. But here I am, working in the marketing industry. But, one thing that I would definitely say is somehow my dream come true is not living anymore in the south of Vienna, like in a small town and stuff. I always wanted to see the world and, travel different cities and different countries. And I would say that's what I did. I mean, I live in Spain now since 2016, and I have no plans to go back to Austria anytime soon.
Wow, that's fascinating. I mean, and you started quite young. In 2012, I believe you started your entrepreneurial journey. And how did you get into that actually? Because you graduated from school and how was that? Take us with you.
Well, that's a long story. I will try to make the shortest possible version out of it.
With some learnings.
Yeah, well, I used to study in the US. I did my exchange semester in Texas. And when I came back, I had a feeling of, wow, now that I really saw how international life could look like, I also want to bring this somewhat to my life in Austria back then. And I started my first business helping international students coming to Austria with their exchange semester. So we helped them with their student housing, we organized them taxis to pick them up from the airport and all of these things. And that was my first company back in 2012. And one learning that I have, well, several learnings there that I got from the first business. First, you need to have a real problem that you solve in order to have a sustaining business. In our case, it was that the operating hours from the student dormitories in Austria were literally from Monday to Thursday from 8 a.m. to noon. So if you come from the US, if you come from the US, you come from France, you come from London, wherever, and you come to Austria, you want to pick up your keys for a student dormitory that you have already paid for this month. If you arrive on Friday, you have to wait until Monday morning. You have to sleep the weekend in a hotel or in a hostel or wherever, because they simply do not operate, right? And that was like a real problem that we solved, because we were like during the office hours, we had a team of like 5-6 people at the end. They were like picking up your keys, bringing you them to the airport, and you can easily arrive in Vienna with a smile on your face. That was our claim. So that was one of the first learnings, that you need to have a real problem that you solve, not just a fake one, like people need a better website, or like a real problem. The real problem is you arrive on Saturday and you have nowhere to stay, even though you already pay for it. That was like a real problem that we solved. And the second big learning with this business was that the CEO of this company that administrates these student dorms was a soccer friend of my co-founder. And therefore, therefore we got an exclusive contract to deal with them for years. And what I learned there is contacts, like vitamin B, how we say, is super important. Like there are several competitors that tried to get into the market, but as we had the better network, we had the better connections, we had the exclusive contract. And then the third learning is, that's also why I somehow stopped this business. When I moved to Barcelona, I sold my shares in 2016. Was that this specific business model was unfortunately geographically super restricted. I mean, we had the contact in Vienna, we had all the dormitories in Vienna. We tried to bring it to Berlin, we tried to bring it to Barcelona, but we never really succeeded in that. And therefore it was not super scalable. It was a business that brought 6 figures and stuff, but it had not even the potential to go to 7 or 8 figures. So it was like the third learning, I would say. Besides that, you need besides that, you need to solve a real business problem. You need the connections. You need some scalability in the business model. If not, after some years, you're gonna just burn out and not gonna go for the next step.
Wow, that's very fascinating. Already a very deep answer. And actually, before you got there, you came back from Texas. And where did the idea come from that you were going to pursue something on your own? Did you grow up in an entrepreneurial family, or was it something that just came, or how did that come? Did you say, hey, I want to do something. I don't want to work for somebody else. I would like to work for myself. How did it grow in you? And also, what were the first steps? And were there also some challenges that you had to overcome?
Well, challenges, without challenges, life would be boring anyways, right? And there are always challenges. But I think this desire of becoming an entrepreneur has always been there. However, I still worked also as an employee in several companies. Even after my studies, I also worked in a consulting company. But I think the main driver, to be very honest with you, is that as an employee, I tried to see where the path goes in the next 5, 10, 20 years. And the carrot at the end of this path was never really sufficiently motivating for me. Like, yes, they pay you more money. Yes, you get bigger, you get more power, more status and stuff. But at the end, you still work for someone else. You're still just the multiplier for someone else's wealth and not for your own. And even seeing the faces of my other colleagues that are already like 40, 45, 50, when they came to the office, they still had the same look in their eyes, which is like being trapped in someone else's dream that is not their own dream. So I really thought it's much more fulfilling to go my own path.
Oh, wow. That's very nice. So, okay. So basically then you went into the business that you just described. And also, as I said in the introduction, there were 3 online or e-commerce businesses that you started that failed. Was that right after that? Was it during that, or how was that?
It was actually after that. So from 2012 to 2016, I did this, called it iHouse Student Welcome Service with my co-founder and 4 or 5 employees. Then 2016, I moved to Barcelona because of my ex-girlfriend. She's from here. And we were together already for 3 years, long distance relationship and stuff. And then we decided that I'm going to move to Barcelona. And because the business was so geographically fixed in Vienna, I sold my shares to my co-founder. The company still exists, which is also something that I think is pretty cool. Like years later, many years later, it still operates, and I still get my dividends and stuff. So that's fine.
And by the way, I think that's also a great thing when you start a business to solve a problem. It's, will this be a problem also long term?
Yes.
Because, for example, I mean, let's take COVID. there were a lot of people that maybe took an opportunity during COVID and created something that was great during COVID, but now the business model is completely dissolved. So you need to know what you're getting into.
That is super true. And that is something that I also had in mind a lot when I started my business. Like, what is something that I see myself doing in 10, 20, or 30 years? What is something I can relate to on a long-term basis? So back to 2016, I moved from Barcelona I moved from Vienna to Barcelona. I sold my shares in this one company, and I'm now in Barcelona. What am I gonna do? Well, I started my different e-com stores, and now after having launched them, I'm going to talk now a little bit on what they are, but none of them really made for none of them was really possible for me to identify in the long term. And I think that was one of the reasons why they failed. Okay, so one of them, the first one is I sold baby products on Amazon, and yeah, and the idea was pretty good, right? Baby towels and these kind of things. But at the end, I wasn't a father back then. I didn't even have young cousins or anything. So there was no real, and I'm also not this baby guy who wants to be positioned on this planet forever on this. So there was no long-term identification there. The second one,
Just a second, actually, because I think this is brilliant, this is example. Because you thought, okay, I'm guessing that you thought, oh, there is money to be made here.
exactly,
Let's just do it. And
exactly,
you went into a business because you thought it's a golden opportunity.
exactly.
But you didn't know enough about the target audience. You didn't know exactly, you were not part of the tribe. You just went into it and you were like, here I am. I saw that this works great. So let's do it. But
Exactly.
then it's all about the tiny nuances that you didn't know because you were not part of the group.
That is so true. And I really believe that this is one of the key components for success, that you are actually part of the tribe, that you speak their vocabulary, that you understand their deepest desires at night. But that was not the case for me in the baby industry.
Okay, so what was the second one?
Selling mattresses online, like Jasper or Emma mattresses.
Well, you sleep.
Yeah, I do sleep. I do sleep, but but it is still like a huge industry where you have, first of all, it's a hyper red ocean. I was not aware of that, but it's a so incredibly competitive market. And then I also thought, well, if Casper or Emma, if they can sell online, we can also sell online. But trust me, people really want to test the mattresses physically before they buy them, because that's where they spend a third of their life at, because they sleep like 88 hours a day. So that was also, well, let's call it, there was good learnings. Let's frame this positively. I wasted another 5 digits of my limited budget back then, and didn't really work because it's very challenging to really sell mattresses online. You need a lot of trust. You obviously have a good return policy and stuff. So that was the second business.
All right. And then what was the third one?
Well, subscription models, already back then an interesting thing, like memberships, and selling Spanish jamón ibérico, to Spanish expatriates all over Europe. That was something I
Uh-huh.
had two very interesting co-founders that had very good connections, but same thing as you said in the first example, Ronnie. I had a feeling of there's money to make, because subscription model, recurring business, these guys had great suppliers and stuff. But then me, Patrick, from the south of Vienna, selling Spanish ham all over Europe. I'm not Carlos Jimenez, or I don't. I'm not that dude, obviously. So once again, there was no mix between my values, my personal background, even my personal interests, and the business model. So all of these three things actually failed. But I learned a lot of what I actually want to do and what I do not want to do. But I've also learned from that are the 4 P's of marketing, right? Product, price, place, and promotion. And after like all my studies and stuff, I think I'm pretty good in promotion. But this does not necessarily mean that you're also good in finding a winning product, that you know how to price it properly and how to create a nice Shopify page and stuff. So I focused, after these 3 things, I focused on only one P, which is promotion, started a consulting company focusing on Facebook.
Before we get into the consulting company, because I want to point out one more thing about what you just said about Carlos Jimenez and so on, about the selling the ham from Spain and selling them to expats all around Europe. The thing is, it did not fit into your story,
Exactly.
or your story did not fit. And usually when you look at the biggest brands or the biggest personal brands, the reason why they are so big is because they have an incredible story. Okay, let's put it this way. Think about sports athlete. Think about, we talked actually before a little bit about cycling, but when you think about cycling, who is a household name in the last 20, 30 years in cycling?
Lance Armstrong.
Exactly. And the reason is very simple. Lance Armstrong had an incredible story. His story was just unreal. And through his story, he came from a sports of cycling that was not a huge sports, and he made it huge because his story was so unique. The cancer survivor with a 3% surviving rate, who then became a 7-time Tour de France champion. And that is just unreal. Or also when you think about, let's take personal development. And we talked before also, we talked about Tony Robbins. And Tony Robbins is undoubtedly the biggest name in personal development in the world. And the reason is, when you go there to one of his seminars and you maybe go to your local personal development guy and you compare, while your local personal development guy might tell you, yeah, I worked with a musician who did this and that. Tony Robbins is going to tell you, I worked with Michael Jackson. Or I worked with, I don't know, a local politician. Tony Robbins, I worked with all the living presidents of the US. And in your mind, immediately that creates a picture, a story, or a perception of the other person. And when you think of Patrick Wind, you're not thinking about Spanish ham.
Not really.
All right, great. So the story part is a very, and we're going to get into that because that ties into personal branding, and we're going to talk about this a little later. But what happened after the 3 failed e-commerce tries?
Well, thanks a lot for this great comparison. And I think I also better understand now why afterwards it has been much more successful, because it has been much more aligned with who I am. I mean, I studied marketing. I always was fascinated about marketing and stuff. So I started like a marketing consultancy focusing on Facebook and Instagram ads, like teaching people how you can invest €1 on this platform, make 10 or 15 out of it. And back then it was a highly profitable channel. I mean, Facebook and Instagram, it still works, but it's not the same as back in 2016, 17, 18, where you literally had much fewer competitors. The cost per million impressions was much lower and stuff. So yeah,
it was a blue ocean in a way.
It was,
that you said before. Like just for somebody not knowing, there's the book, The Blue Ocean Strategy, that basically says when you get into a saturated market, which is then a red ocean, because in an ocean where then the competitors are fighting against each other, then there's blood, which is the red ocean. So you need to find a niche, or you need to find something in the market that then will create its blue ocean. So even, for example, the social media world, Facebook is the giant who actually was there, who is now the one who is the oldest in a way. And so it had a blue ocean, so to say. But then everything else had to specialize. Instagram, it was just about the pictures, for example. TikTok, first it was about music and so on. So all those kind of things. You needed to find your niche, your blue ocean in it.
Absolutely agree. That's exactly the point. And I think you're right. Like back then, Facebook ads could still have been considered a blue ocean. By now, they have truly become a red ocean. And teaching people how to make money on their platforms helped me to make also more money. I have this one overruling theme in my business, which is change the life of millions to make millions. And also in this order, right? You first have to have an impact on other people to actually get some big financial impact for yourself out of it. And as you mentioned in the intro, we taught a total of over 115,000 students all over the world how to invest successfully on Facebook and Instagram. And how did we do that? Well, with online courses. We sold them all over the world. We have students on all different continents. maybe I skipped one part that's important here in between. Between Patrick going to Barcelona, failing with his e-com stores and selling to 115,000 students, obviously there's a big learning curve in the middle. Okay. And this learning curve comes from several things. First of all, I got hired by a big e-commerce company in Spain. The name is Leber. They gave me 2 million euros of budget in my hands and said, make something out of it. And I made 6.3 million out of it in half a year. So that was pretty cool. And they were happy. And then other companies came to me and said, hey, Patrick, how did you do that? Can you teach me? That's how I started like this consulting company as a one-man show in the beginning.
So just for somebody who is not in the marketing world to understand, they give you a budget of 2 million, basically promoting their products, right? Like they said, okay, we have this product and we want to promote it. So you went with those 2 million to Facebook and Instagram, and you made ads, or you created ads, and then the revenue that came out of that was 6 point something million.
Exactly.
So you tripled the invest.
We tripled the invest, but obviously it's very good that you say it, because this does not mean that there are 4 million in profit, because these 6 million are obviously cross. That's the price that people pay. We obviously you have to deduct from there the value-added tax, the cost of the product, the shipping cost to be sold, sunglasses and watches. But I think it was a little bit roughly over 1 million that still was there after all the product cost and profit. So that was a pretty good case study. And thanks to this case study, I got many new clients that also wanted to see how this works. So I started like a one-on-one consulting business. Okay. So I went to their office, taught them, then later on also digitally and stuff. But what I've seen then during this period is what I basically teach these companies is always the same. So I teach them how to create really cool ads, how to find the right people with the right audience, how to scale campaigns, how to set up proper retargeting funds, always the same. So I thought, wouldn't it be more efficient if I just record everything I have in my mind in some videos and then go to these consulting clients? But they already need to watch my videos first before I even go to their office. And as a side product out of this, I all of a sudden had an online course. And then obviously I thought, well, Facebook ads work really well. Why don't I invest money from my own budget into Facebook ads, selling my online course? And that's what I did. So that's basically the shortcut between Patrick moving to Barcelona and being a Forbes 30 under 30, 115,000 students, is literally like really learning the craft with Meller in this e-commerce store, then teaching one-on-one Facebook ads knowledge, getting the online course as a side product for the one-on-one consulting, which is then a standalone product, and then just scaling the standalone product.
And that actually ties a lot better in your story, because you have achieved it. You have done it. You are the expert in it. And it's not just, hey, I found some ham somewhere and let's sell it. I'm a vegetarian, by the way. Or I don't know, but so okay, awesome, fantastic. So that was basically your first own product that you created, and where it was your course, your story. And by the way, talking about saturated markets, because also I have a feeling that there are becoming more and more online product or online courses on the market. So if somebody, for example, today would say, hey, I have some experience, I have a knowledge in a specific field, what would you say are the key factors to make an information business a win or successful?
Yeah. So if you are currently listening to this podcast and you want to start an information business, let me share with you one key learning. I think the area of low ticket online courses is over, and you want to move, from my perspective, you want to move into high ticket mentoring, which is much more profitable and easier.
Just to explain also, what is low ticket and high ticket, or what is for you a low ticket and a high ticket?
Yeah, low ticket is everything below 1,000 euros, and high ticket, then we could say, is everything above 1,000, but in theory 5,000 plus is high ticket. Let's call it everything between 1 and 5K. Let's call it mid tickets. And one tremendous learning that I got was when I sold my Facebook ads course, which we sold for 790 euros, so below 1,000, it was videos, and it obviously had some support on the side. We had a WhatsApp group in the beginning, then we had a Facebook group, then we even had one weekly group call where they just could, 1 hour a week, they could ask their questions, did not to me in this model, but to a mentor from the team and stuff. But it was like videos, and additionally also the support. At the moment we swapped these priorities and sold support with some mentor, with some videos in addition, we sold it for 5 grand, right? So the same videos actually. So videos, 790 euro, and you also get some support, or support, let's call it mentoring for 12 weeks, 5,000 euros, and you get the same videos as part of it. So it's just, for me in my head, that was the biggest change when it comes to info business. I would never ever just focus on selling videos. I would focus more on selling the transformation. Obviously, you want to take a person from point A to point B. How do you guarantee this? Well, via mentoring, 3 months, 12 weeks, for example, and you want to add some videos there. But this mentoring component, 12 weeks, no one expects this to be less than 1,000 euros a month. No one. I really don't think, especially not in a B2B context. But this is like the lowest possible benchmark, between 1 and 2 grand a month. And if you do this like for 3 months, but it's like, between 3 and 6K. But easy is always if you go for the 5K, for example, and don't waste a lot of time just focusing on the videos.
Wow. That is very fascinating, actually, and that's a great concept, and I believe, because we were talking also in the introduction about that you have created the number one mastermind in Europe, marketing mastermind. I would believe that it came out of that, because from a 3-month mentoring, then just make this an ongoing recurring revenue system where you don't just get paid for 3 months. You actually get paid every month or every year, depending if it's monthly or yearly. Is that correct? Or was that then the next logical step?
That is exactly right what you say. And that's also, if you're currently considering starting like an info business and stuff, why I'm so in love with the business model of memberships, especially high ticket memberships. That once again, something between 1 and 2,000 euros a month is benchmark. You can always be more expensive. You can always have 3, 4, 5,000 euros monthly, but that is more challenging than. But between 1 and 2 grand a month with a 6 or 12 year commission is benchmark, and it's a really, really nice cash flow business. Imagine if you have 10, 20, 50 clients. We right now have 155 in our mastermind, and they pay 2,000 a month or 20,000 a year. So that's a really, really nice business. And the beauty of it is several things. First of all, you don't have to worry so much about new customer acquisition. On the one hand, we have some of them are in this community since 2020, and they keep paying and they're super happy and stuff. So that's one thing. Second, your actual clients become brand ambassadors and brand promoters, and they invite someone, and then they get 20% commission. So for them it's nice because they get 4 grand in commission out of the 20 grands. So for them it's nice money for doing one introduction, and for us we don't have to pay Mark Zuckerberg in Facebook ads or anything. We just acquire him that way. And third, it is really nice to work with people that you already know. Like really, really nice, I have to say. Like we're doing events now at the Canary Islands, in Barcelona, in Dubai, and I meet my friends that I would meet anyways. I meet the people that I have already seen during the last years, and it's different. It's different. You don't have to show off so much. You can be real because you know each other anyways, and that's really a nice way to do business.
And when people are coming through a warm introduction, it's always the best way to do business,
Yeah.
because they already, when they are coming through somebody who's already a fan of yours, because they are in a way, otherwise they wouldn't recommend you, then it's great, because it's really a totally different onboarding experience than bringing somebody in where you need to sell yourself first, like, well, yeah, or convince the other person, which is that's really, really nice. That's really cool. So another thing, actually, that or no, let's stay with the mastermind for a moment. So if somebody's out there and says, wow, mastermind and recurring business, you got me. I love that. I want to do that. And then obviously you need to have a topic for that, because a mastermind, I mean, you're not going to have a mastermind about life. Yeah, that's way too generic or way too broad. So you need to have a topic. And what if you want to create a mastermind, but then you think, well, I'm not sure if my topic is going to be sustainable long term, or how do I come up with the content? What do I need to give them every month in order to make it worth their effort or worth their money as well?
I think once again, we need to think back to what we said in the beginning about it needs to be aligned with your own story, and it needs to be aligned with a topic or a niche or an industry that you see yourself identifying with over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, right? In my case, that's marketing, because I'm just a marketer with every cell of my body. And that's also why I never positioned the mastermind as like Facebook ads, very specific mastermind, but rather a marketing mastermind where you have people from the Google Ads industry, people from YouTube ads, also from organic social media. Right now, this specific moment, for example, we have a social media roundtable going on. I mean, everything related to marketing, but then marketing is also so broad. It also includes, the 4 Ps. It also includes finding a winning product, define the prices, place the websites or the shelf, whatever. So for me, that was the perfect fit. So everyone, I mean, here you can be very scientific. You can also think about the market size, total addressable market, also how the competition situation looks like. But in general, I would make my life easier on that, and I would just say, can you identify with this in the long term? Is this something that can be your ikigai, right? This is something that you can get paid for, you're good at, you're talented, and that's what the world needs. Well, then go for it and just do it.
Okay, very interesting. And when you want, and one more thing about the mastermind, if you're out there and you say, hey, I want to start a mastermind, how do you do it? Like, how do you get your first members? Because I think that's always the hardest part. Once it's running, and once, as you said, 150 members, and they bring new members and so on, fantastic. But how did you start out, and what would be the secret of success to start a successful mastermind?
Well, I can give you a nice answer. I can give you the real answer. Which one do you prefer?
The nice one, please. No, of course, the real one.
So the real one is, you cannot just start a mastermind without having created a proper reputation or a proper set of followers or a certain need in the market for it up front. If you're just if you haven't done anything significant before, why would anyone pay access to you? Because that's the thing with masterminds. Like, I was also in the mastermind of Sam Ovens, for example, also at Marcel Knopf, like the founder of This Is Marketing, the founder of consulting.com. So these are really, significant people in the industry, and I pay high ticket to get access to them and their network. But that's why I said it's not a nice answer. But the reality is, if you want to start a mastermind business, first you need to create like a solid foundation of something that people want to learn from you, of something that they want to become themselves at one point of time. You cannot imagine how many people pay our mastermind because they also want to be in this Forbes 30 under 30 list and stuff. So this is like the hard truth. Like, if you want to start a mastermind business, you need to first create some desire in the market for what you actually offer. And in my case, how I started it is that there was actually market demand for it. So people contacted me and said, "Hey, Patrick, why don't you have a mastermind?" I'm like, "What's a mastermind?" And they're like, people get together and stuff. And I'm like, well, how much would you pay for that? And they were like, yeah, a couple of grand a month and stuff. And I'm like, where do you want to sign? Now we have a mastermind. So
Yeah.
it was full demand driven. It was full demand driven. It was not me sitting in my office saying, now I start a mastermind. It's like fully demand driven, like several people saying, hey, Patrick, I want to be part of your community. I want to be part of your mastermind. And I'm like, how much would you pay? And they're like, this and that. So that's how that was the first thing, how I launched it. And then what I did after I felt this demand is I literally created a WhatsApp group with 30, 40 contacts that I had back then. And I thought for these guys, it would be interesting. In this WhatsApp group, I sent them a quick video, said, hey guys, we're going to launch this mastermind. Who of you is motivated to join and stuff? And some of them give like a thumb up and were like motivated and stuff. And then I literally posted a PDF in this WhatsApp group with everything that was detailed. We launched back then in 2020 for 3 months, 8,400 euros with weekly coachings and stuff. And 10 people in this WhatsApp group said, okay, count me in. I sent them the invoice on WhatsApp, one-on-one. Then I had 84,000 euros in the bank account, and I had to start with mastermind business. But that's literally it. Always sell it before you build it. Always, when it comes to info business, and just try to, feel if there's a market demand and then go for it.
There are a few great points that you actually made. And one is that always sell it before you build it, because I know several people who have built an incredible online course and they made all the videos. They spent days and weeks of recording and then paid the video guy and the cutter and everything and then had the beautiful product and never sold it. and so that was that happens. So really, you want to sell it first. Absolutely. Before you actually build it, before you create it. Or at least, or you build it or you sell it and build it in the process, basically.
Absolutely. Right now, in this specific moment, not only our social media roundtable is taking place, but also the launch of my AI consulting service or formation program in Spain is also launching in this specific second. And I'm obviously not a big AI expert, so I partnered up with someone. And the same, like we already sold 12 tickets, 5,000 euros per person. And today is like the kickoff where there's the first, formation and sharing knowledge at this moment. And people only have rolling access to the first week of content. So obviously it's communicated that it's a better learning experience for them, that they don't yet have access to the second, third, fourth, and fifth and sixth week. But it's just for us because nothing is created in this moment. And this is really not something that you should worry about, that you're doing something which is not right, because it's exactly the opposite. It's exactly the opposite. Right now, his name is Xavi. He's teaching them what we think is the most relevant for them about AI in this moment. But then during the session, we ask for feedback. During the session, we ask them what they actually want even more. We send them evaluation forms afterwards. We do one-on-one interviews with them. What do they really need? And then based on this information, we create the second week of content. Then we play the game all over again in the second week. Then based on that, we create the third week, because the thing that you have in your mind might not be what your customer actually needs.
And that's fantastic, because you're creating, it's in the marketing world, it's actually called a seed launch, but whatever, in a way, you're just creating something which together with your clients, you're being paid to create it. Exactly. And then after you've done it once, exactly, you know what the market wants, you know what the market needs, and you can get out there to do that. Another thing also that you already mentioned before is to be in proximity, networking. Mm-hmm. I think networking is a huge part. And that's another aspect of masterminding, of getting together with people that to grow together, or that where you believe being together with them can expand your mindset, can expand your business, can whatever mastermind it is. But what is networking for you, and why is it so important?
Well, you truly are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And it has an impact on all the other aspects of your life, starting with health. If you're surrounded by people that smoke and eat fast food and go to nightclubs and party all day long, well, you're most likely not going to be the super healthy vegetarian sporty person if you hang out with these people all the time. It has an impact on your social status. If you play golf with Barack Obama, it's different than if you hang out with someone else, right? But it also has a direct impact on your business because it changes well, there's several things. There's a direct impact on your business because there can be opportunities and stuff. But something I have learned from a good friend, his name is Bernd Ronny, he told me that the real biggest, deepest value of masterminds, and that really changed also my perspective on it, is that you learn how to think like people that are already 5 or 10 years away, further in the process than you. Like, for example, if you face a challenge, it could for you right now, for example, lead you into one direction, but the person that has already went through these challenges so many times, if they face the same challenge again, their thinking process is different. The thinking process is completely different. He says that's the main advantage. Also, Alex Hormozy says that the main value of masterminds is that you adapt the thinking process of people that are already much further than you in business.
Think about it this way, and I that just came to mind actually. Think about it when you, I don't know, did you like to play computer games or Nintendo or whatever? So when you play, and I love to play Nintendo when I still have one, so but I hardly have the time. But anyway, so when you buy a new game, you get into the new game, and first it's really hard, and you're just trying to master it, and but the longer you play, then the better you get. And then once you're there, for a beginner, something might be hard, but you are already the expert. So for you, it's easy. And when you, for example, you get tips nowadays, you can just go on YouTube and you look at how do the experts play that. But in our days, it was okay. There were some magazines where there were some solutions, or how do you master this? How do you get by this? Where's the secret? And so on. And once you know, you already get the inputs from the experts. And so like this, you're making a lot faster progress than having to figure out everything by yourself, because life is way too short to have to figure everything out by yourself.
That is a very good sentence. I really like it.
When you, one thing also they mentioned, Forbes 30 under 30. And let's talk a bit about personal branding. How important is it to build a personal brand? But I'm talking in general for everybody.
Well, I would say it really depends on your business. Like, there are different industries where it has more importance and others where I guess it's not so important, but especially in the marketing industry, I think personal branding is a must. It really is a must, even though you don't want to scale an agency that is not that is a sellable asset, because that's oftentimes one of the reasons why people don't go into personal branding, because they say it is going to be super directly linked to the founder, right?
And just to say, scaling an agency means to make it bigger and as a saleable asset that you can sell it.
Exactly. Like, I would like to show the example of our friend Marcel Knopf with Fastlane. Like, he has a good personal brand, obviously, Marcel Knopf, and Fastlane is an agency that is a sellable asset without him. So even in this case, it works. And in general, personal branding, wow, that's the one big game changer I had in my professional career. That's really the one big game changer. And what do I mean with that? Well, first, thanks to a strong personal brand, I was able to, get more and more clients. Like, for years, I have like a waiting list of people wanting to work with me, like for years already. So you get a lot of demand of clients. Second, I increased my prices from like 300 euros an hour to 3,000 euros an hour. Like, I literally multiplied my prices by 10 thanks to a strong personal brand. And third, the client retention has also gone up a lot. Like, if you have a strong personal brand, people, why would anyone leave if they know that you're the leader in the market? Why would you go somewhere else, right? So investing in a personal brand is always a good idea. Plus, if you're positioned in the market with something that you want to identify with in the long run, well, then a personal brand can only help you. It can only bring benefits. Even if I would now like to quit everything I do, everything, no selling online courses, no mastermind, no mentoring, nothing, I still have like a very strong curriculum. I could now start working in a marketing agency if I would like to do that, or in a marketing department of FC Barcelona, of Nike, whatever. The personal brand is still an asset that I can take with me. It's like, it's like a master's degree that you do. It's like a PhD that you do at a university or whatever. It's another certificate. Actually, all these certificates pay into your personal brand. So I would really recommend each and everyone to, consider it thoroughly to start or even strengthen his or her own personal brand.
So before I'm going to ask you more about that, just to be a personal brand, it basically means that you like, what do other people talk about you when you are not in the room?
Exactly.
Yeah. What is your reputation in a way?
Mm-hmm.
But your reputation in a systematized way, that is not just by chance or by luck, that it's really about how do you systematically build your reputation up. And then, of course, it's about when you said it's like a master's degree. In a way, yes. And it is unique because there's only one of you. There's only one Patrick Wind that there is. And so it's really about what is it that I want to be unique in? So if you want to build your own personal brand systematically, what would be the way to do it? And I know for you, of course, the Forbes 30 under 30 is working really great because you associate yourself also with another very, very strong brand. But tell me, what would you recommend to somebody who wants to build their personal brand even stronger?
Yeah, so of course, it once again depends on the industry and the niche and what you're doing in general. But let's stick with the marketing industry because that's where I have the deepest understanding. One thing that Ronny has just mentioned is co-branding in the sense of Forbes, for example, but co-branding also with via the companies that you work with. Like, I really you know, I really leveled up my personal brand with each additional big brand I've been working with. Like, for example, I worked with Asics, I worked with Desigual, I worked with Havaianas, with England Focus, with Ogilvy, with House Media, etc., etc., etc. All of these brands, right? And every time when I mention these kind of brands or put them on my website, you know, people have their mental connections with these companies and they attribute these values to you somehow. Okay. So co-branding, I actually also think that was the game changer in my application for Forbes, right? So why have I even been nominated there? Well, because I worked with really big brands. So the jury, they might have thought, well, this dude cannot do so many things wrong if these big brands work with him. So it has even in this specific process worked. But co-branding can even be related also to your network, right? So if you, for example, take pictures with Tony Robbins, wow, that is huge. Or if you take pictures with whoever, with a famous TV star, wow. Okay, so you can also use this co-branding mechanism, so to say, not only with brands but also with people. And obviously, another thing that helped me with the personal brands are all kind of certificates. Like, obviously, being positioned as a Facebook ads expert, I did all the Facebook blueprint certificates, literally all of them that you could have done back then, all of them to the highest standard and all of these things. Because, at the end, you need to have some quality stamp from the outside to really strengthen your own personal brand.
Wow, that's very fascinating. One other question that I gotta ask, because I think in order to be successful, one thing that you need to bring as well is the right mindset. What mindset do you need to bring in order to be successful?
Well, this is a very good question. let me let me let me channel the first things that come to my mind, but it's obviously a very broad and very good question. The first thing that came to my mind is self-love. Like, if you don't love yourself, it's very difficult, I would say, to become really successful in the long run, because you're gonna auto sabotage yourself and you're always gonna have these unhealed childhood traumas that are gonna sabotage you. You know, mm, falling back into unhealthy habits, not dedicating enough time, or becoming a complete workaholic, and then you have health issues. So I would really say, like, the recipe for business success is something that I quote on top of my bed. It says, I mean, it says Buddha said that, but I strongly doubt that Buddha actually talked about success back then. However, this is a quote of Buddha. Success won't bring you happiness. Happiness will bring you success. So do what you love, and you're gonna be successful in return. So I think that goes in that direction. So you cannot be successful, or very unlikely, with something that you completely hate, and 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 that you do not feel the self love while doing it. I think one can also say the recipe for success could be the ikigai. So the Japanese concept, where it's like the overlaps between four areas. One is like something that you obviously need to be good at. I think it's really difficult to become successful in something that you're not good at, something that the world needs. Okay. Something that you enjoy doing, and really important, something that you can get paid for. Because I have really good hobbies, but I won't get paid for it. It's also like playing Nintendo. I also like to play Nintendo, for example, but it's very difficult to get. I mean, there are some, but it's not the same, right? So it's playing Nintendo. I might be, and I saw. I'm not sure if the world really needs me to play Nintendo. Okay, but I'm good at. I enjoy it, but it's. I think it's not an ikigai. It's more a passion. Okay, but I think to be really successful, I think ikigai is a concept that explains the path pretty well.
I love that. I really love that. Um, who is somebody that inspires you or that you look up to?
Well, there is a guy. His name is Ronny Leber. I really enjoy talking to. Well, I have several role models. I actually follow Tony Robbins a lot. He's a person I really admire. I also follow Barack Obama and Elon Musk quite heavily, but there are some other role models I have in my direct field of contacts, and yeah, some of them are my closest friends, and they're the ones where I actually learn the most. I'm not yet a father, but I might become one soon if everything flows the way I want. So there are obviously people that already have kids that I follow them a lot when it comes to their work life model, how they combine all of these things. And then there are others that do similar business models like I do, but they just have 10 times more free time. And so I would say, like, yes, there are these macro role models, but the people that have a much more direct impact on my life are my micro role models. And yeah, these are basically my closest friends are my role models.
Wow, that is beautiful. That's very fascinating, and that really is a great way. As you said before, you're the average of the five people that you spend the most time with, and spending time with the people that you are aiming for or that you are modeling is fantastic. So, if somebody got inspired or would like to know more about you or would like to work with you, where can they find you?
Well, thanks a lot for this invitation for a call to action. Really appreciate it. Well, it's easy. You can just type in Patrick Wind on Google and look for all the different channels that we have. There's also our page at accelerator.com, where you find information about the next dates for our workshops. And I would be really happy to welcome more and more amazing people inside our mastermind.
That sounds beautiful. Patrick, any last 30-second thought that you would like to leave us with?
I think this self-love concept is much deeper than we had been possible to tackle on today. But really reflect on that. Like, if you don't properly love yourself, it's really gonna be difficult for someone else, be it a potential partner, be it potential clients, or be it whoever, to love you. And at the end, that's what we all want. We want to love. We want to be loved. So why don't we start with ourselves?
Very beautiful. Very beautiful. Thank you for being with us today. Thank you also for all your insights that you brought. Once again, give it up. Patrick Wind.
Thank you, Ronny. Thanks so much. Have a good day, guys. All the best. See you soon.
Thank you for sticking with us until the end. To make this content even more valuable for you, please leave a comment below and share your thoughts, and also share this video with somebody you care about who absolutely needs to see this. Thank you very much. Have an outstanding day and see you next time.